As you watch this, look at the screen. What you are seeing is not a single town, not a single night, and not an isolated disturbance that will fade by morning. This is happening across the country at the same time. Streets blocked, trains halted, sirens cutting through neighborhoods that used to be quiet after dark, police lines stretched thin, fires put out almost as quickly as they are lit, smoke hanging over town centers where people work, shop, and raise families. This is not a flare-up. It is not a one-off. It is something that has been building for months and has now broken through the surface. From the South Coast to the Midlands, from the Northwest to Wales, the scenes repeat with unsettling familiarity. Crowds gathering near hotels now used for asylum accommodation, roads closed without warning, buses diverted, shops shutting early, parents pulling children indoors, police rushing from one flashpoint to the next, numbers never quite enough, always reacting, never ahead of it. Listen to the sound. Get back, get back. Calm down, calm down.
Get back! Hey! Hey! What are you doing? Get back! What are you doing? Get back! Get back! Get back! Hey! Hey! Calm down! Calm down! Calm down! Calm down!
Those voices tell you everything you need to know. This is a system under strain, trying to hold ground it was never meant to hold. The message coming from the streets is blunt, and it is consistent. Communities believe decisions have been imposed on them without consent. They believe the costs fall on them while their own lives become harder. They believe the government listens only after things break, only once disorder forces a response. Tonight, that pressure hit breaking point in town after town. Protests grew faster than local forces planned for. Lines formed, shields came up, arrest vans rolled in. Officers worked 12-hour shifts back to back, pulled from rest days, moved across force boundaries. Commanders were forced to make decisions no one wants to make: which streets to hold, which to abandon, which buildings to protect, and which areas would have to wait. Transport hubs were shut for safety. Motorways slowed to a crawl. City centers froze. This is what loss of trust looks like on the ground. Not slogans, not statements, but disruption spreading outward, touching everyday life. The focus of the anger is clear. The use of hotels to house asylum seekers, often with little notice to local councils or residents. Buildings that once hosted weddings, conferences, and family breaks now sit behind metal barriers, with officers stationed outside day and night. Places people recognized have become secured zones. Locals ask the same questions, again and again. Why here? Why now? Why without warning? And why does it feel like there is always money for this, but never money when we ask for help? Those questions have not been answered in a way people accept. And when answers do not come, crowds do. In one Midlands town, a protest turned chaotic as darkness fell. Bottles were thrown, windows smashed. A small fire broke out and was extinguished quickly. Police lines buckled under pressure before reinforcements arrived. Anyone watching those scenes could see this was not control. It was containment. And even that was fragile. This matters, because this is not about attacking migrants as individuals. Most people on those streets are not shouting at the people inside the buildings. They are shouting at a system they believe has stopped listening to them. They are angry at policy, not faces. But when anger builds with no release, it spills into public space, and the consequences are real. To understand why this is happening now, you have to look beyond tonight. You have to look at the past year. Rents up, energy bills up, food prices up, public services stretched thin, people working full-time and still falling behind. Then they see fencing go up around a local hotel and are told this is necessary, unavoidable, and temporary. temporary. That word matters because many of these hotels were never meant to be short-term. People know it, councils know it, police know it. Temporary measures that last for years stop feeling temporary. They start feeling like permanent changes imposed without agreement. Official figures show tens of thousands of asylum seekers housed in hotels nationwide, hundreds of sites, a daily cost running into millions. At the same time, communities are told there is no budget for repairs, no budget for youth services, no budget for extra policing. That contrast is the spark. The government says the system is overwhelmed, that there are no easy options, that international law limits what can be done. But on the ground, what people hear is simple. You don't get a say. That is where credibility breaks. Police are caught in the middle. Officers are not policymakers. They did not choose the locations. They did not sign the contracts. Yet they are sent to hold lines between angry residents and buildings they are ordered to protect. They take abuse from both sides. They are criticized for acting and criticized for holding back. Morale is under strain, and everyone knows it. Over recent weeks, arrests linked to protest activity have risen. Some for violence, some for disorder, some simply for refusing to move. At the same time, removals of people with no right to stay remain slow. That imbalance is noticed. It is discussed in pubs, on building sites, and in private group chats. Fair or not, it shapes how people feel about justice. There have also been serious criminal cases reported in areas linked to accommodation sites. Each one, regardless of who is responsible, adds fuel to fear. Parents question school routes. Shopkeepers worry about theft and harassment. Women say they no longer feel safe walking alone at night. When those fears are dismissed or minimized, resentment deepens. The official response has focused on enforcement and messaging, more police deployments, faster court processes, warnings about misinformation, requests for content to be removed online. The aim is to cool things down. For many watching, the effect is the opposite. They feel managed rather than heard. You can take down a post. You cannot take down what people see with their own eyes. Closed roads, helicopters overhead, officers in riot gear outside a hotel that once hosted birthday parties. This is the reality playing out on the streets, far from press rooms and briefings. And it is not over. Officials have warned for months that the concentration of hotel accommodation in certain areas was reaching a tipping point, that placing additional pressure on already stretched towns carried real risks. Those warnings are no longer theoretical. They are playing out live, street by street, night after night. Yet there is still no clear sign of a change in direction. More sites are being prepared, more contracts signed, more locations kept quiet until barriers go up and officers arrive. Communities that have not yet experienced this are watching closely. They are watching footage from other towns and asking themselves a simple question: when will it be us? That uncertainty matters. It spreads anxiety long before a single decision is announced. It turns rumors into expectations, and it means anger does not stay local. It travels. That is why tonight matters. It shows this is not contained to one place or one group. It shows how quickly unrest can spread when people believe the same decision could land on their doorstep without warning. It shows the limits of a strategy built on managing fallout instead of fixing causes. This is no longer just an immigration story. It is a trust story, a policing story, a cost of living story, a story about who decisions are made for and who is expected to live with them in silence. When a government loses the confidence of the people it governs, enforcement replaces consent. That is a dangerous shift. You see it when protests turn into standoffs, when officers are deployed to hold ground rather than keep the peace, when every gathering is treated as a threat because no one knows which one will tip. The social contract many people believed in feels broken. Work hard, follow the rules, pay your way. In return, the state protects your community and listens when you speak. Tonight, millions feel that deal has been torn up. No amount of press releases can fix that. No number of arrests will restore trust on their own. And no attempt to dismiss this as fringe activity matches what cameras are showing across the country. The question now is not whether there will be more unrest. It is where and how severe. Will there be real engagement with the communities affected, or will decisions continue to be pushed through until another line breaks? Police leaders know the current pace is unsustainable. Officers cannot be everywhere at once. Courts cannot process endless cases overnight. Cities cannot keep shutting down without long-term damage. Each closure, each disruption, chips away at everyday life. Workers miss shifts. Small businesses lose income they cannot afford to lose. Deliveries fail. Appointments are canceled. The cost lands on the same people already under pressure. That feeds a growing belief that ordinary lives are expendable in service of decisions made elsewhere. What people on the streets are asking for is not chaos, it is control, clear rules, fair enforcement, honest answers. A say before decisions are made, not after barriers go up. Ignore that. And the scenes you are watching become normal. Address it. And there is still a chance to step back from the edge. Britain is at a crossroads. One path leads to more standoffs, more shutdowns, more mistrust. The other requires political courage, transparency, and a willingness to admit when a policy is not working. The coming weeks will show which path is chosen. And here is the part many miss. When anger reaches this level, it is not driven by one night or one incident. It is driven by accumulation. Small frustrations stacked year after year until something finally gives. Missed GP appointments, police stations closed, potholes left unfixed, bills rising faster than wages, promises made and quietly dropped. Then, on top of all that, a decision arrives that changes a neighborhood overnight. Residents find out after the fact. That is when people feel powerless, and powerless people look for ways to be heard. You can see it in the crowds. These are not just young men looking for trouble. These are couples, tradesmen, parents, pensioners, people who go to work in the morning and expect their town to still feel like home when they return. They are not reading policy papers. They are reacting to what they see outside their doors. Police commanders understand this, even if it is rarely said out loud. Many officers privately acknowledge that the tension is not about race or ideology. It is about fairness and control, about who gets listened to and who gets managed. When officers are ordered to hold a line around a hotel while the rest of the town feels unsafe, resentment grows on both sides of the shield. The longer this continues, the harder it becomes to step it down. Every arrest creates a new grievance. Every viral clip hardens positions. Every night of disruption pulls more people from quiet frustration into open defiance. Shutting down transport networks and city centers is not a neutral act. It carries consequences that ripple outward. Missed wages, lost contracts, canceled care visits. Small businesses push closer to the edge. These are not abstract costs. They are felt immediately, and they reinforce the belief that the burden always falls on the same shoulders. This is why simply calling for calm is not enough. Calm does not come from force alone. It comes from legitimacy, from people believing the rules apply equally, that their concerns matter, that there is an endpoint to what they are being asked to accept. Right now, many do not see that endpoint. They see more hotels planned, more secrecy around locations, more warnings about what they are not allowed to say or share. That does not rebuild trust. It burns through what little remains. Britain has faced unrest before and pulled back from the edge. It did so by acknowledging mistakes, changing course, and restoring a sense of balance. The question is whether those in power are willing to do that now, or whether they believe this can be contained through policing and silence. Because if tonight has shown anything, it is this. You can hold a street for a few hours, you can clear a junction, you can shut a station, but you cannot hold down an entire country indefinitely once too many people believe the system no longer works for them. What happens next will define more than this week's headlines. It will define whether trust can be rebuilt or whether these scenes become the new normal. The streets are telling their story clearly. The question is whether anyone at the top is still listening.